Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be taking a look at another react that I'm going to be doing on Lightburb. I've done a couple of reacts on some of his videos before, and this is actually a topic that I see a lot of people asking questions about, and I think there's a wide difference amongst content creators on their thoughts of how many recoveries you need relating to how much stamina you have for the upcoming Pisces Cup, because it's a long 3200, it's going to be wet, heavy rain, which definitely makes it much more difficult, even than the Gemini Cup in terms of your stamina requirements. But it's a lot of people are still going overboard. People after Gemini Cup, I've seen a lot of people just overstam. They go overboard with recoveries. Now, I do understand the idea that a lot of people want to be safe and make it sure their Uma is always going to survive and spurt. But there's a reason you have the ability to build 3 aces. And my thought is always build the ace as strong as you can for that 85% of the time they get the wit check to get the recovery off, and sacrifice them that 15% they lose it on average, depending on this what your wit and all that is. But let's just go ahead and see what Lightburb Hair has to say on it, because he's mentioning on is Global wrong about the stamina requirements. We'll see. I'm guessing he's going with many other content creators who have opposite advice of what I've said, which is pretty much just try and get that 1100 to 1200 stamina and 1 golden recovery. But let's see.
Hello everyone, Burb here. This is a difficult and risky video for me to do. I hope it doesn't get me into trouble. As you all know, I don't script my videos. I do all these in one take.
Doesn't script. I don't script mine either. I'm one of those people, like, I won't cuss on the video itself, but I'm just saying, like the meme, screw it, we're going to do it live. And so that's what we're doing. We're just doing it live. I don't like doing cuts and all the heavy editing that you see with some other people do it. We'll kind of see how his goes as well. Turn it up a little bit. All right, we'll turn it up. I'll get it as high as I can here. Make it a little bit louder here.
I hope I say this in the right way, because this topic is very important. Stamina and gold recoveries in Pisces Cup. And this is directly dealing with other content creators. There's just been a lot of guidance on how much stamina you need.
Uh-oh. Drama time. Time to start the drama. We haven't had any in Uma yet. No, we'll be fine.
How many gold recoveries you need. What do you need to survive this CM? And I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is directly going to be talking about the Chami guide, not because it's the only...
Oh, he's going on. Now... I have not reacted to this video, but I did watch the intro as people were mentioning it to me with Sidus. His name's a little bit harder to say. But he mentioned 3 recoveries, which to me is absolutely insane. My common advice, especially now with the current champions meetings, I would say is get your 1 gold recovery with around that 1100. You kind of have to check depending on the position you're playing as to an extent on what your stamina is. But then you can kind of have that gamble recovery to be that extra help if you really want it. Because it's not just a recovery with Radiant Star, which to me is a really good pickup just in general. It's a very strong gamble skill, and it can save you too if you do fail the wit check on your main gold recovery. But I don't treat it as a recovery in the sense that I need a recovery, because it's also good in other ways as well. But yeah. His advice was 3 in his video that he was talking about.
Guidance that's been out there, but it's 1, the most recent, and 2, it's possibly the most well seen. So before I begin, I need to say that do not slander this man Sariru. He's not wrong.
He's had I've liked his advice on many of them. I've watched his. I mean, I watched pretty much all the other people's. Try and make my own guides or my own coverage first before I watch other people's, because I don't want theirs to influence my own thought. And then I kind of, like we're doing now, we're reacting after the fact. I've already made mine for Pisces Cup, and then we'll just kind of see what other people's thoughts are on it.
Wrong, first of all. Secondly, he's a very incredible resource to this community. Having played JP,
JP's got it. Game been playing it for
probably 5 years at this point.
5 years is how much it's been out.
That's a level of expertise that I don't have, because I am going through this the first time. I do have a basis in mathematics a little bit with my engineering degree, but that does not even compare to what he is able to do through his lived experience. And
Yeah.
any slander towards his name is on a
Yeah, JP players, I mean, they're the best ones in terms of just having guidance of how it went on the JP side. Now, I will say, their experience is different. And one of the negatives you could say that I've seen from them on some of them is they lived through it in the moment, meaning they were reacting as things came out for the first time. They didn't have the prior knowledge, and we've seen that with Gemini Cup. I think Gemini Cup was the big one, but the strategies that they had or what was meta for them was completely different for them compared to global. Just on the simple fact that we have the prior knowledge of what has and hasn't worked, and we were able to utilize that earlier to kind of change what people used and built through the champions meeting. So the metas come, and then we also had, of course, like when we got the first anniversary update early, slight differences, but now we're basically back online with JP because we didn't get anything else really early. The shift of the game now for make a new track, but having all the knowledge does shift. And so while maybe back then for them that was the good idea, that's what they came up with in the moment, but now that we have like the future knowledge of, well, they've already run it and actually experienced and seen things that win that made it work without it, it could be very different.
acceptable. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. We are talking about specifically one aspect of the Cham guide, which is the recommendation of 2 gold recoveries, 1173 plus 510 was his example, and a side inherit, because 2 gold recoveries are not required.
Yeah, 2 gold recovery skills are not enough. 3 are required. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I've seen. This is a snippet, it looks like, from his video. With basically, I think his advice was, when I see just at least the early part, I didn't watch his whole entire video, but he basically said you want your swinging maestro, you go with an Uma like gold ship that has a built-in heal, and then you have your side heal. So in this case, fantasy, grass wonder. And then it was 1600 on the stamina and guts, which I think that's a pretty good number. But at this point, you just need the one. I've been doing plenty of runs with my current aces that are on the lower side of this, because I have, I think 1090. So I don't even have 1100, and I have like 690 something guts. And all Mihono Bourbon has, I mean, she has her alt, which has a heal in it too, but that and Swinging Maestro are enough. And her own alt is a 0.35. It's not as strong as a gold. And then my Kita-san only has Swinging Maestro with 1070. And the only little bit of help she has on top of that is she has Moxie and then Radiant Star, which is a heavy gamble. And she does fine as well. So this will make sure you survive, and it will make sure you spurt.
Not enough,
but the sacrifice
required.
It's quite a bit.
And like I said before,
and Victoria's also recommending 1100 and 600. Yeah, it's a lot of people going with the 2. I mean, I feel like having Radiant Star is a good backup to it, especially if you get max on stamina. If I remember correctly, Radiant Star, if you fail the Swinging Maestro and you have that 1200 plus that 600-ish guts, it can have you survive and spurt, but it's a low chance. It's like 50% chance with just Radiant Star, and it's a gamble skill. But that can alleviate that wit failure from being a 15% to maybe only a 7%. But I can see it from Victoria's front. From his standpoint, he's a very big Oshi enjoyer. He wants to see his favorite Uma win. If you want your favorite Uma to win, you're gonna have to make them a monster, and you don't want you do want to have that consistent spurt. So I can see it from that perspective. Me, I have 3 aces for a reason, because one of them's gonna fail the wit check, and then the other ones, one of them's just gonna perform badly, and then hopefully the other one, everything goes right.
He is correct. Yes, the required stamina for this CM, if you put it in the calculator, is 1657. And if you have 2 gold recoveries, that lowers it down to about 1075. So if you think about it, if you have everything against you, you're rushed, you are against debuffs and stuff like that. Yeah, 1150 plus 2.5 gold recoveries is completely
calculated with 500.
This is calculated with 500 guts on Frontrunner, if you are wondering. I also will attest that I'm not a Frontrunner player, and I know that spot struggle also contributes to this. So this is possibly more from a late surger and end closer point of view, because we
Well, I mean, spot struggle, you can take it in the calculator and you're completely fine,
You
even
don't
with
have to
spot
deal with
struggle.
that. But there's some things that for you to learn, and I will say also that I've done this on a Kittison Black, and in theory it does work as well, and it does seem to be working in the room matches as well. I think that's all the disclaimers I need. But the purpose and the point behind this suggestion with 2 gold recoveries, and it's correct, is that 2 gold recoveries does not proc every time. So to
Yes.
be fully safe,
Oh, yeah. Hey, we all mispronounce things. I mean, or say it in a bad way. I mean, I just know over here in the U.S. we can't even speak English correctly. So, I mean, come on.
you need to have 3 recoveries. I'm not going to say, you can see it's gold recoveries, but 3 recoveries so that 2 of them proc and get you there in those situations. The thing is that those proc 95% of the time. Let's say 700 wit I think is reasonable. 2 gold recoveries still work 76% of the time. Okay.
Man, that's pretty low wit. I mean, if you're going to be a little low on the wit side, okay. Yes, but I mean, with making you track, you should be shooting for at least 800. Like 800 is the minimum. I mean, Hono Bourbon, I don't like the fact that she's like 860. But she at least has Frontrunner Savvy bringing it up a little bit. But yeah, if you're going down in the 600 wit range, I mean, it's gonna your Uma's gonna struggle. It's heavy downhill, and I'm guessing he's gonna get into that. The downhill is something I think people may not be taking into consideration too when it comes
Okay.
to these stats.
So when you load up in the match, 1 out of every 4 of your runs, if you require 2 gold recoveries to finish the game, or 2 recoveries, any 2 skills with 700 wit, you have basically a 1 in 4 chance of your run not surviving, right? My original suggestion was the bare minimum stats of 1,000 stamina plus 2 gold recoveries. And I will quote this directly from what I said in the original. The best thing that you can do once you meet your minimum stats, because my guides are based off of just people trying to get into Champ Me as best as possible, and not everyone has ridiculously good decks. The first and best thing you should do is get 100 to 150 bonus stamina, and there's a specific reason for that they will go through later. So you can consider 1,000 stamina, 2 gold
Best
recoveries.
thing.
You could
Oh, bonus stamina. Well, yeah. I mean, the minimum. I mean, that's basically getting max stamina with this one.
say
Um,
1150, 2 gold recoveries. I think that's just fine, and I maintain that original suggestion. This 1600, I just don't think is reasonable, and it doesn't translate well to real matches, because if you actually
yep.
go and look in your room matches, even very, very greedy Umas still seem to just hit and live. And the problem is that if you maintain 100% safety and
Yep.
someone else in the other 2 groups decides I'm going to be greedy,
Yes. That's me. Be greedy. You're going to overpower them on the mid race. This is what he's about to say. You're going to be stronger than them on the mid race, so you're going to be in the front. And so if you're doing front runner, for example, because he seems to be talking about front runners, which are kind of feeling, from everything I've seen, the meta alongside end closers. You're the person that has the 2 greedy ones. They're going to be the ones in the front most of the time. And even if they do die from stamina, well, guess what they just did? They just blocked you from your Kitasan alt, whatever, victory cheer from activating. And then you're also farther back, so the end closers are most likely going to pass you, which I see in a lot of people. They could potentially be going with the double front, single end closer type deal. So yeah, you want to be, to me, cutting that edge where yes, you need the recovery, and if you fail it, you're gonna run out of stamina, and your Uma's gonna just start walking. But that's the gamble you're taking. That's why you have 3 aces. Yeah, you go glass cannon, 3 glass canyons versus 3 jack of all trades, because the one that's gonna win is going to be the glass canyon, like 80% of the time. Now there's the cases of, well, everybody screws up and fails their wit, and then some weaker Uma that's very conservative wins, but that's going to be much, much less likely to happen.
the odds are is that 1 out of those other 6 Umas are going to hit and survive at the same time, and yours may hit, but it's not going to hit as hard. And that's the problem, is that you were fighting 6 other Umas, so if you are playing it safe and they are playing it greedy, they have 6 chances to beat you, and that's going to happen a bunch. And that is why critical skills matter more than 100% safety and 100% spurt rate. We're not talking survival, it's always spurt rate, and I'll go through that. Just remember,
Yes.
like I said.
Yeah, there's two things. There's survival and spurt. You're going to survive on this one pretty much no matter what because of the downhill. But if you're not spurting, your Uma's not running. They're not going as fast as they possibly can. And you can see that in the races. Like, they don't start walking like you see when they don't survive. They basically look like they're walking. But if they're spurting, they're just booking it. And so you'll just see them start falling back when they run out, but they won't like just stop on a dime like you see when they completely die.
Spurt rate. We're not talking about survival because of the downhill. The downhill in the late part of the race is 400 bonus stamina. This does multiple things. First of all, if you spurt, if the game calculates you have enough, you will survive. It's not a maybe survive. It doesn't really matter how many debuffs you have, like how many debuffs hit at this point.
Yeah, the game you won't spurt if it doesn't think you can spurt through the entirety of the late race. And the one update that they did with the first anniversary was that if you do get a late heal, you can start your spurt late, but you won't get the spurt until you are topped up enough to actually be able to finish the race, which is why it's going to say you're going to survive pretty much every time, especially on this one because of the downhill.
Hill can save up to 400 effective stamina unless you are super unlucky, and you get hit by a ton of debuffs at the same time. You need over basically 200 effective stamina to be removed from you after the spurt calculation, which is just not realistic. So if you spurt, you survive. It's kind of as simple as that. At the very worst, it calculates it slightly wrong and you peter off at the very end, but I have seen that once in like the 200 room match.
Yeah, you have that very rarely. And here's the thing: if you're blowing out the competition when you take off, and I've won matches where they're walking at the very end because they blasted it, but they're so far ahead. Who cares if they run out the end too?
That's what I've done so far. There's a bunch of things that I think make this not translate into my room matches, because my room matches, even my greedy.
If anything, I like to think of it as your Uma's taunting them when they walk across. The first thing
is this calculation, I'm almost certain, includes the rush condition. Something very frustrating that happened to all the emulators at the same time is they removed the checkbox for rushed, and they just sort of built it into the equation. And the thing is with rushed is that even at very low wit, it just doesn't happen very often. It's 1 in 5 at like 0 wit, like basically 100 wit, let's say. So realistically, at the wit levels we have.
And I'll say, with rushed, I mean, even my Uma's survived through a rush. I mean, it's kind of crazy with the downhills when you hit there. And yeah, I mean, like I said, if you take Radiant Star, to me, that's a good enough as your second heal in a sense to kind of back you up.
Now between 600 and 900, it's only happening about 12% of the time, right? So it's something that's being incorporated into these stamina calculations that just isn't happening very much of the time. To put some math behind it, 1 stamina, I'm just going to include the late surgery calculation because it's simpler, because it's 1-to-1. A stamina gives 0.8 HP times the modifier, right? So pace chasers, it requires more stamina for the same amount of HP. Late surgers are exact, and then basically end closes are pretty much the same thing. If you're rushed, you have a 1.6 times HP drain over the course of time of the rush. So every 3 seconds, you have a 55% chance to leave rushed, which means you basically have 60 HP drain time.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a really long rush, I mean, you're dead. But if you just pop right out, you hit it and then you pop right out of it, it's not as bad.
0.6, so you have about 36 HP.
But that's why I'm saying, I mean, just because rush can be devastating if you just keep failing and you just stay in it the entire time. But if you just pop right out of it, it's not as devastating if you're if you're that true like edge case glass cannon, and you can use that the emulator can kind of show you. You can find that edge where you maybe have like a 50% spurt, and then if you maybe give yourself like a white heal, it moves you from like a 50% all the way up to like a 70 to 80%. That's where you're like right on that edge of needing pretty much everything to hit. Just getting just above that with maybe another white or two can really back you up versus going all in heavily on the double gold. Because you got to think, I mean, one, you got to have Swinging Maestro. So you're bringing Super Creek, or if you're like really, you can get lucky, you can go with the Right Shower Power and try and get it through power cards, which I would not advise to do because I've tried that once and it doesn't really work out. But then now you're needing another heal, and one of the main ways you get it is through using an Uma that has one built in, which may not be the strongest strategy. I mean, you have some that are really good for that. You have like Summer Mruzensky, who has built-in Restless, and you can take Swinging Maestro. But still, like I said, you are sacrificing a lot of extra skills that you could be taking in place of those.
Extra that's drained, so about 45 effective stamina.
Yeah, someone just, as you can see in the chat, someone has a Summer Mruzensky with 800 stam that's surviving. I'm guessing you have, like I just said, Restless and Swinging Maestro, and you can win. And I'm guessing having 800 stam, you probably have some crazy high wit, power, and speed. So
is removed from you.
I mean, it is what it is there.
So 12% of the time, let's say, because 12.33 over the 600 wit, which I think is a low estimate of what we're getting. It's around 600 to 800 wit on a free-to-play build. We lose about 45 stamina immediately out of the calculation from what we've done before. And if the 6% of the time that we get, I call catastrophically rushed, which just means we've been so unlucky that we get rushed and then we get rushed again, basically, because it's a 55% chance at that point, we lose 90 stamina, and this technically goes on infinitely, but the odds get lower and lower and lower percent that you just get rushed. And let's be honest, if you're in rushed for 12 seconds, I think you're just losing no matter what you do, because your base...
Man, getting the rushed, man, it'd be crazy if you just get stuck in rush state, like in a sprint where you don't even give a crap, and you're just like nonstop, you just keep hitting that coin flip that you stay in rushed. It's a buff in sprints, I'll say that.
Imagine you're...
But yeah, here you're dead once
you're in spot struggle
you stuck
for like half the race. Like that, you're not surviving that no matter what you do. The second thing is that the last perk calculation technically also calculates up to 60 meters before the goal line. This is not too much, but technically it means that in this map it's 3% less stamina calculated than required, right? It doesn't take into account the acceleration time as well, which means, again, this puts this towards the, if you are spurting, you are also surviving, right? So all these little things, they're very small, but I think they do add up, and that's why we're seeing in rune matches just like people living, okay? The biggest thing that I talked about in the original video that I think is grossly underreported is the effect of this downhill. This downhill being like 400 meters means that you save on average about 147 stamina with, I think this was 600 wit, so it's even more if you don't, but you can't count on it.
Yeah, and a lot of us are getting to that higher, and the calculation, from what I understand, on the downhills too is linear. It's not, when it comes to skill activation, getting really, really high wit starts not having as much value because diminishing returns. But when it comes to the downhill, it's linear. You continue to get like the same amount of value out of it as it continues to go up. So your 1200 is 200, like it's 200 points worth more better than 1,000, just no different than how 1,000 is 200 more points better than 800. So with making you track, getting high wit it is tough. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it is, with the high rolls that you're seeing, you're getting into that 1,000, even with getting good speed, power, and stamina now. This is not Unity Cup in that capacity.
Of course, you can save 0 stamina, you can save 280 stamina. It all depends on how lucky you are in the wit, and you can utilize this. So my original suggestion, what I put in as my suggestion, I put in a debuff as being 75 stamina and a rush as being a plus 70 stamina, which is, looking back, rushed is closer to a 45 rather than a 70, I think. It's the expected value may be 70, but the odds that you're in there, you may not even want to count it, and you may just say, if I'm rushed,
2
I'm
golds
dead.
at 10:31.
Is that, hey, if you're rushed
late,
and you get
10:45 for front, ends 10:56. Oh, and he's okay, so this is the math with trying to look at it from all the different scenarios you're in and how much stamina you need. Yeah, 1 gold. I mean, it's... Now, you'd really, if you want to go full 1 gold with no gamble, 1,200 is definitely what you want to hit on it. I mean, that's the one reason, like, I took the 1 white to kind of back me up on my Kita-san, but she's done completely fine, even with just the gold activating and not failing the white, because I've seen it, and Radiant activating late. which of course is also another heal. So this is definitely still conservative
Unlucky
in
with
my
your
opinion
recoveries.
here.
Maybe that's the situation you have to sacrifice because we can't all build perfect Umas. And when you start adding these situations that are catastrophic into each other that are required to reach these high levels of stamina to make the effectiveness of the additional gold recovery or the additional last white recovery, the percentages just go way down. You have a 6% chance of being catastrophically rushed, and let's say you have a debuffer in 40% of your lobbies that actually hits. We'll talk about.
Now I will say debuffer is one thing that I have not heavily taken into consideration when I came to building my knight. I've done it in the Umulator where I put them in. And that's one thing where having like Radiant Star can kind of save you in that capacity. But debuffs, really, the way I think of them is they're going to be more, you're going to see probably more debuffers in round 1, a little bit less of them in round 2. And I feel like you're just, hopefully you're lucky and you don't get that crazy person that has, that made it to the finals with heavy debuffs. Because I feel like going heavy debuffer is, not going to be very strong as a team overall in the finals. And when I build my Umas, I build for the finals. So I don't expect it to be a heavy debuff finals. I could be wrong. I could get that debuff room and then I may very well lose. But I don't take them too much into consideration when it comes to building mine, at least on longs. Mediums are a little bit of a different story because they have some stronger and more consistent ones that hurt you versus longs.
About
so
that.
I don't.
All of a sudden, we're only in 2.
To me, I don't even take it into consideration in my calculations, unless you're like on that edge case that I mentioned. Maybe you want to take that extra just because if you're on that very edge case where all it takes is a white to shift you up from a 50% to a 90% spurt rate, that's where maybe you might want to have a little bit of extra safety to deal with the debuff.
Right? It's not great.
No way debuffs. Yeah, like someone said, there's no way they're going to be great. Like the biggest thing you'll probably see are those that borrow the Manhattan Cafe that has the stamina siphon gold. And because I've heard there's the strategy of bringing 3 end closers or something with all of them having it. But even that, to me, is not a significant amount of debuffing. And you don't have Mystifying Murmur. I think it's Mystifying Murmur. The nice nature one that can activate to cover the entire the area. You only have, what is it, All-Seeing Eyes, which is a distance-based one, which means if you have like a front runner, she can't even hit them because it'd be too far ahead. And end closers hopefully are still behind her before she does it. And so
this isn't going to happen very
I wouldn't
often,
even worry
and
about
we're sacrificing the other 78 runs at this point. Let's talk about debuffs, because the 40%, let's say, hey, we're going to get a debuffer in every single one of our lobby, because no matter what we do, first of all, we're not seeing them in room matches, but as we know, room matches are not representative of.
That's the thing. You're not seeing them in room. We will see them, especially in round 1. But if you're not seeing them in room matches, like he's saying, the people you're seeing in room matches generally are the people that are actually practicing a lot. Are your people that are really try-harding to get into the finals? Those are the people you're more likely to run into. You've seen quite a few? Oh, I have not seen quite a few.
Actual gameplay, because a lot of people
I don't think they will be in the finals.
Say lazy, but they
are. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they'll be in the finals heavily. And I build for the finals. So he's not mentioning it here either. I know he might not even talk about it. Mood. In round 1 and round 2, you have mood. You could be in a bad mood, which reduces your stats. But in the finals, you're going to be in a great mood, which increases your stats. And that's all I care about. I care about the finals. My Uma is strong enough that they will make it to the finals. I know what I've built can win. They win against strong Umas, which means unless I'm stupidly unlucky, I will make it to the finals, even if it's at a lower win rate than if you built more consistent Umas that'll win round 1 easy. Because with 2 heals and strongish Umas, you will probably have a very high win rate, especially in round 1, versus I might have 3 or 4 races where I just have bad wit checks on my heals and they all die and I lose to a jobber Uma. I mean, it is what it is. All I care about is being as strong as I can for the finals. I don't care about how many wins I get on the way there as long as I make it there. Now, that might be, someone else might have a different opinion on that depending on their needs. Like, I'm not too worried about stockpiling all those carrots that you can get from the wins on the lower level. I just care about getting that big platinum title. If your goals are maybe you want to have that higher win rate on the way there, okay, that might make sense. But to me, it's not worth it. There's nothing that indicates your win rate after the fact. But yeah,
unable to make 3 aces.
I build for the
so what
finals.
Do you
is
do?
kind
You
of what I'm
boost
getting
your
there.
aces with debuffers. Okay, so the debuff percentage I have as 40% of lobbies, which I think is a high estimate. But even though I haven't seen like any of them in room matches, I think it's very reasonable to say that there's going to be like 20, 30%. But in those 40% even, late race debuffs simply just basically do nothing because of this downhill. Because, like I said, even though recoveries recalculate your
Don't
late
be
race
average.
spurt speed, right? Debuffs do not. They do not trigger a recalculation. So once you've already spurted, you don't really care because the debuff's going to push you down. And
oh, you're saying the average person doesn't have strong Umas that can endure debuffs? My opinion is niche. I don't know. I mean, I would say. I mean, you have to see. I mean, I don't know if anyone here has built the triple stamina siphon builds that I've heard talked about. I mean, are you having any luck in killing off Umas with it would be the question.
And 9 times out of 10, like 95 times out of 100, the downhill is
Here,
going to
Rice
be
Shower
enough
front
to
debuffers ready?
absorb that debuff. This is like unique to this track because of how long this downhill is in the late race. Okay? The other thing is that this is long, not medium. So really the only real ones we have to worry about are Rice Shower in the fronts, right? So that affects the fronts, but not really the backs as much. And then Stamina Siphon, which is on Man Cafe, on a couple other things, and on the card. Even the Stamina Siphon's only a minus 0.1, which is less than a white recovery.
Yep.
That may have been the white version, but still, it's still 0.3. It should be a 0.01. I think it's 0.01. Even if it's not, the theory still comes.
It's minimal. That's why I've heard of the talk of just putting it on all your aces, because it's a 0.035 heal, so it's kind of like that mid heal. It's better than a white, but worse than a gold, and could be like a good second heal. And I think that's not too big of a deal if you went with the second like that one, but you have also like Radiant Star, and those ones that have some other value to it as well. To me, they're a little bit more useful than just going outright for another gold recovery.
Requires the back half. It requires your Uma to be in front of them in that point.
And yeah, and Radiant Star helps against debuffs too, because it can activate. It activates anytime in the second half. So if you do get debuffed on the end, you could get saved by a Radiant Star there too. I mean, in the late race. I've actually seen it where my Kita-san, she had failed. I'm pretty sure she got rushed. I think she failed Moxie, but she got Swinging Maestro off. She hit her alt. She was slowing down, and then she hit Radiant Star and immediately spurted back up. And so, yeah, I mean, you can have those backup skills, but they are not
everyone's in front of the Uma because it's a sacrificial
necessary. It just depends on how the run ends and what skill points you have and skills you need.
Right? That means it's going to hit the end closers and it's going to hit the late surges and the pace chasers. By the time you're in the first position as a front runner, there's going to be 5 Umas that are not theirs at that point. So one horse still survives in the front, which is why the skill isn't the most effective, because it still doesn't hit the best horse in the front, the best front runner, right? So you have the people running it. You have the fact that Stamina Siphon can just whiff. It is a wit check still, right? It requires some specific situations. Your Uma can just dodge it if it's just doing this properly, and it can still survive when it does. So my suggestion has not changed. If you're able to, get 1100 to 1150, a stamina, 1 gold recovery, 1 white recovery. If you can get more than this, perfectly fine. It'll only...
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty much all you need there. The one gold, 1 white, I think you can get away without it, but it definitely it does make it comfier for the little bit of things that hit you, like he's getting at.
Increase your consistency. Use the downhill to save bad runs. The reason is that you then unlock the 1 of 2 gold recoveries. So imagine the situation where you need either 1 gold recovery or your white recovery and some luck to survive. You're now in the realm of 95+%. You are better than just running 2 or 3 gold recoveries without even thinking about what's going on, because 1 of 2 recoveries is better than 2 of 3 gold recoveries. I don't know why I put that slide there. You have to think about your success scenarios when you're doing this, right? So With 1150,
Yep.
a gold recovery and a white
Your success and your fail. Like, what is your when do you fail? If it's just you fail when you fail your wit check on your 1 gold recovery, that's to me good enough.
recovery. Your winning scenarios are you don't get any debuffers, right? You don't get rushed at all. At this point, with 1100 stamina, right? 1 white will spurt you, 1 gold recovery will spurt you on its own, right? That happens half the time, let's say. We're assuming 40% of the time there is a debuffer. It could be more, it could be less. You could redo all this math if you want to. At this point of time, you have a 99% chance, right, of one or the other proccing. 60% of the time, there's not going to be a debuffer. You're not going to get rushed at 88% of the time. So 52% of the time, you're fine. Half the races, you're going to survive already just from this. At this point, imagine if you get debuffed or you're rushed. You know, you get hit by a stamina siphon or you get rushed. Well, you need both of them to proc at this point. So at this point, you are banking on the fact that in the situation,
and he's not even counting the downhill in this part.
Rushed or debuffed, I now need both my recoveries. And even in this, there's a little bit more math because you basically have the 2 situations where you're debuffed, you are debuffed and not rushed, or you are rushed and not debuffed, or you are debuffed and not rushed, but not both. And in this situation, you require both of them. So now you're at the 2 gold recoveries, which is at 76% at this point. So you do this and you add an additional 32% success. Your next one is that, hey, let's add in the downhill.
And kind of looking at this, you're having to take into the fact this is at lower wit rates. The downhill is going to be much stronger if you can, especially if you get over 800. And there is a difference. I can tell the difference on it to an extent with that. So, well, this one's not even counting the downhill yet, is it? Okay, never
Imagine
mind.
if you're debuffed
but the downhill,
or rushed, you hit your gold recovery.
But yeah, the downhill has a
favorable
significant.
Downhill. You do this, and these are the odds for that. Your favorable downhill, like we said in the previous video, is like 42. I'm saying favorable downhill is, let's say you hit 3/4 of the downhill. Let's say it's roughly 25%. It's a little bit more than that because of the way dice rolls are, but 25% for simplicity. 42% of the time for the fact if you're debuffed or not, and you get 9.2% added. And then we have, of course, you hit your gold recovery, you hit your white recovery, and you hit a favorable downhill, and you're double debuffed, or you're rushed and you're debuffed at the same time in the specific.
Yeah, just have 1200 in every stat, and you'll be fine. I mean, because with the guts build, it's a little different in the fact that you only need like around 900 stamina if you max out guts. Although that's going to be a tough one to get. Maxing out guts speed and hopefully getting close to max power while maintaining 900 stamina and trying to get your wit as high as possible. I would say 800 plus. Yeah.
Situation, there is the still chance that you get a favorable downhill, green gold recovery, a white recovery, and you still survive, and this still adds another 0.9%. So if you add all these success chances up, you have a total success chance still of 94.1% just from this designation right here. Okay, and that 5.9% is the situations where you have more than 2 debuffers, or you have 2 debuffers and your gold or white miss, you have an unfavorable downhill and a rushed, or some combination of 3 or more of these things. And what we call that in the business is unlucky. And you can get that additional recovery, and it's good to get it if you're able to without sacrificing other things to save this another 6%.
Yeah. That's the thing. What he's basically getting at here is these are you just get screwed runs. And these are the 5.9% of your runs, effectively saying, are the runs that you're sacrificing by not taking the extra gold. Because these are the ones where you just got hammered and screwed. And that extra heal that could pop off to save you from it, that's about as many. Now, that's just saving you from not spurting. That's not saving you the win. Because now that you've sacrificed other skills for that extra heal, you're also now probably getting a higher than 5.9% additional losses just from the fact your Uma's overall weaker on their mid-race / early race / late race.
But for the most of us, we're unable to do all of this at the same time. There's just too much stuff in this champions meeting to do so. And the thing is you should look at, and you should run at least a couple room matches, because you can still see that your Umas that are maybe more greedy than you think can still work a lot. Like it's crazy. Like 3 out of 4 times, 4 out of 5 times, 9 out of 10 times, your Uma, you will see straight away spurt proc. You will see your Uma visibly get faster when it happens, and you may see every once in a while them not spurt on time. And that's a way of getting visual feedback to you to say, hey, is this Uma risky or not? And really, the thing is that if you're running it greedy, you can go and fight against these ridiculously made Umas that are just better than you because they have better cards or they hit harder than you. Okay,
UGs,
so you're kind of throwing your...
the properly built UGs. I mean, I've been, like, I've done tons of them. I get paired with the UGs all the time. If they're properly built, and they're really strong front runners, it's still about a 50-50. I mean, as long as you have everything you need and you don't go too conservative on that stamina, you're competing with them because there's not much of a difference between the two. Now S+, I mean, that's basically bringing in a Unity Cup Uma, a strong Unity Cup Uma. But once you start getting to the SS range with the stats and all the additional skills that you're able to get in making you track, there is not that much of a difference. While they have the advantage on you, it's going to be more RNG if you kind of can line up on all the stats and you're at least in the SS range now that we're kind of seeing as like the good ace builds in making you track.
In the ring for the situations that you're fighting the better Uma, which is going to happen more often than the times that you die. As reference, a little spoiler, this is the gold chip that...
Someone's saying after clear rounds, you could just switch to 3 debuffer team to harass people. Oh my goodness. Oh, that you'd make so many people mad.
I say is a little greedy. It has
hopefully run into someone like you on stream. Because I have run into viewers plenty of times.
Recoveries and Radiant Star. This was not actually a Radiant Star. If you can see, the Radiant Star was procced later.
Until you have the person that makes it to the finals and says, you know what, screw it, I don't care about winning. I'm bringing 3 heavy debuffers to the finals just to screw with them.
Right here. So this was just the 2 gold recoveries happening to hit, and that was enough. It did get hit with a Stamina Eater debuff as well, so a white buff, and it still survived. It still spurted on time, and it got a length behind a UG2. So this is the reason why I can't get behind 2 GRs and 1 Inherit. It's that, like, where are you getting these 2 gold recoveries on anything besides, like, front runners and possibly gold chip, right? Like, Lates and Pacers are gold recoveries. Like, our Pace Chasers have a couple gold recoveries.
Well, there's also the advice that Late and Pace aren't that strong unless you, I mean, they're definitely the weaker of the ones. I mean, Pace Chasers have plenty, but the meta is front and end, and so a lot talk from that standpoint, but even then it's just not worth it to go crazy on the 2 golds.
But our stamina is so freaking high that it's like
triple dom. Just wait for Summer Gold Ship. When Summer Gold Ship allows you to bring some of those golds into your longs.
Surges, we have Lion Weight, which has its own problems. All the recoveries besides Corner Adept or Swinging Maestro have issues with reliability. So even though we're getting this 20% additional help, right, this 20% additional consistency, really we're not getting to the full point because we have the failure chance that cooldown chooses the last straight, and at that point, like the last straight, we haven't spurted. So 1 out of every 3 times, cooldown and Bofa just miss anyways. So we're not even getting the full 20%. We're getting like 13.
Yeah, they really should have given us the 2nd anniversary early. Now, someone did mention, I don't know if it was in chat or if it was in Discord or something, that the 2nd anniversary changes are a lot more technical than just the tweaks to the skills, which is probably why they couldn't give something like that early as easily versus the other ones, which were just tweaking certain, like, more of the conditions. So, but it would have been really nice if we could get the Breath of Fresh Air one early, because it opens up pretty much everybody having easy access to something useful with the free. Oh, it was Lightburb?
15% of reliability.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't remember. I know someone said it.
Lion Weight requires in the back half, so if you get a good
But yeah, I mean, the nicest thing that it would have had was everybody got a free Tosin Jordan, and she has Breath of Fresh Air built in. It would have been super nice to have that.
They just don't proc. It's the same thing with Tyson's recovery as well. It can just fail. Most of the free-to-play cards are 50-50, so if you're a free-to-play player and you're trying to get 2 recoveries from free-to-play cards...
Yeah, I hate it.
It's a 1 out of every 4 that you just...
You got Tosin Jordan, which everybody, unless you just started, should have that. Then for your paces, you have special week. the very first speed card we got, which is a pretty decent card, although not crazy good because of the friendship. I don't know all the others, but yeah, I mean,
get your recoveries on time. And
not
I'm
really
here
worth
to say
it.
that, hey, if you get 1 gold recovery and 1 white recovery, it usually is just fine as well. That's what I'm trying to say here. We're already struggling with parents, so
Oh yeah, Stamina McQueen. Stamina McQueen. That's cooldown, isn't it? That's cooldown though. Cooldown and adrenaline. You got adrenaline, you get the activated as soon as you die. You die, activate.
And getting a heal inherits is just another thing we're adding to it that's going to remove the number of stars required for Umastan, for straightaway spurt, for our gold chips, for just good blues and good pings to give us long S more often. We're frustrating ourselves trying to high roll everything rather than just focusing on the things that really matter and just compensating and accepting a little bit of risk, okay?
Yeah, I hated that card. I mean, that was one of the ones I was using on Gemini Cup, but Gemini Cup was definitely one of those ones where, I mean, we're using the URA. It's basically the same thing as this race we're doing now, a little bit less bad because of the weather conditions and not having the downhills at the level that we do here. Man, Gemini Cup was tough. I mean, you got to think. It was only our second champions meeting, so we haven't done heavy pulls yet, especially if you hadn't pulled, like if you only pulled Kitasan and you pretty much were saving because you skipped Super Creeks. Man, it was brutal. That was a brutal one, definitely. But now we have a lot more options, and so people shouldn't need to go as desperate.
I'll say about the video too is that, hey, just get the 2nd gold recovery from a character. The reason why I don't like this is it just invalidates like 2/3 of the roster.
Gemini was a survival, yeah. I mean, Gemini was just gold chip and Rita Taishin. They had built-in heals. Then you got Swinging Maestro. And you didn't have front run. I don't even think we had Sayun Sky at the time. So front runners were, I mean, you don't have Kitasan, you don't have Sayun Sky, so you can't even get angling. Everybody sucked but end closers, and so everybody just brought Gold Ship, Narita Taishin, and they're the ones that won like 90% of the races.
And I know people have Oshis, and I do want to say this.
Like we had our mid-CM. Oh yeah, I remember. We had somebody that did triple front runner that actually did pretty well. Can't remember if they won though. But they did do a Sayun Sky, I think, last second.
Character can be run in a champions meeting. No character is useless just because they don't have a gold recovery. This video was not saying that. It's saying that these characters are advantaged because they have the 2nd gold recovery. But hey, I'm a winning ticket player. I don't have a gold recovery in my kit. So where do I get this legendary secondary recovery from? Am I going to run Zeno Rob Roy speed and get a 0% race bonus card? Or am I just going to try to get some white recoveries to supplement my gold recovery and then fail that 5 to 10% of the time? Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. You're also sacrificing those skill points.
3 aces. If you have that failure, as he says, 5% of the time, and you have 3 aces, and all of them have that 5% failure rate, that's 5% times 5% times 5%. You have to hit 5% 3 times. So think of every time that you've gotten a it's 3% on support cards, but let's think of every time you've gotten like 3 SSRs. It's going to be similar in terms of the math of the odds of that happening. Now you might fail because of positioning, and other people especially if you have a positioning one, or you lose because of other reasons, but you should survive. One of your aces should survive and spurt, even if you're not winning in that scenario.
By getting golds, you're usually sacrificing at least some stuff.
A ticket Oshi. I didn't know he was an Oshi, or he was a winning ticket Oshi.
Supplementary skills, and they're not
her built-in golds are really bad, aren't they? I believe, like Hard Worker. I think, isn't it Hard Worker? That one's a really bad gold. I don't remember what the other one is.
And you can use this analysis to make
67% of the time it works every time. Yeah,
potential, but you're losing another.
I mean, you gotta think. You only need to win one. I mean, you need to win 7 times. 3 times in round 1. Well, 3 times on 1 ticket in round 1. 3 times on round 2 ticket, and then 1 time in the finals. That's all you need. So you make it to the finals, then you can just say it's a 60% chance, 67% chance that you win, potentially, or not. Or
recovery plus
the other 32%
you have
you
like
don't.
300 skill points you're burning there. That could be an IBAM. That could be a 1.14 lengths. It could be an ECS, which is you're not double circling every single straights and corners, right? So that's another 0.6 lengths.
Oh yeah, fast and furious is not too bad. I mean, I used fast. I don't really do late surges, but like I had Tamamo Cross. I think I had one late surger I did with the speed Tamamo Cross to get it. It's a pretty nice one, but it's very hard to get access to it on some Umas. And it's a nice one she has built in, I guess. Although if I was building Winning Ticket, I'd try. I don't know what where she's at on end closer, but I would try and build her as an end closer instead of a late surger.
There, feature act could be a win QED. It could be another inherit that you choose because you don't have a heal inherit. You're choosing a late race speed option, which helps you with other forms of consistency as a late surger, because late surgers need to be in the back half of the pack and go to the front. There's just so many situations that this CM causes you to think about that you could you give yourself consistency, but then when you hit, you still don't beat these better Umas. And this is what I'm trying to do, is throw your hat in the ring for it. So my true guidance is that if you want to build like this,
build one greedy Uma. Yeah, this is I've heard this as well. The people that I'm a believer in the triple greedy. If they all die, I lose that race. Big deal. This is how you win the finals. You build 3 of them that are super strong, and you know what? You might go down in a ball of flames, all of them crash out, you get 9th, 8th, and 7th place. Big whoop. I mean, you get 3rd place, even if you get a 3rd place. I mean, if 1st and 2nd are your 2 opponents and your other Uma survives and gets 3rd place, guess what? You're still getting that silver title and not the platinum, versus if you're 7th, 8th, and 9th. You go all in, all or nothing.
That's perfectly fine, but try not to build all 3 of your Umas like this. Build a greedy Uma, like this gold chip I have, where it's like, hey, if it hits both gold recoveries, it's perfectly fine. And I have a ton of late race on that character, and that's why it's so strong, is that it has Uma stand, it has straightaway spurt, and it has late race, and it has, of course, gold chip ult, which is just all the mid race you ever need. So I have a Uma that if it hits,
it is not all the mid race you need. If you have, like, I would say, if you can build her, she's very tough. Of all the end closers, I would say Tamamo Cross is probably the strongest. Because you can get effectively on a Tamamo, especially if you're a Leviathan and you have, like, every card MLB. You can have a Tamamo Cross that has an ult with speed carryover. You've got Tail 9. You've got Daring Strike. If you're, like, a crazy Leviathan, you have potentially, you have Beeline Burst from Narita Bryan. You have Professor of Courage. Like, you can make that Tamamo Cross activate her ult as an end closer from her 2nd and 3rd place positioning if you have, like, a super monster one.
It just has a very high chance of winning.
Very hard to build one because of the mile sparks needed. But a very strong Tamamo Cross, like, to me, is probably the most meta Uma. I feel like the meta to win, like the easier one to build that's super meta is going to be front runners, but if you have a cracked Tamamo Cross, I feel like she's the strongest, just extremely hard to build with needing mile sparks. Because not only do you got to get the high roll, you also need that long S.
1200.
And then if you really want her strong, you need that long S Turf S.
700, 1200. I have no idea how they hit that hard. Build a normal Uma, completely normal Uma that may be in the middle. It's like the paper bag cardboard tank theory. And then if you want to build one, not 100% required, but it's a good idea still, build that tank Uma that's there for the times where you have like 3 to 4 debuffers. Again, if you're running debuffers, this is where your question really comes in, is that are you you're sacrificing a slot for a debuffer? Maybe you build a tank and a greedy Uma. If you're running double debuffer, where's that balance where you're going to sacrifice
don't bring debuffs
that you're one
debuffers aren't going to help you get more wins. I mean, they're for the people that really don't have, like, debuffer is when you're free to play newer and you just have to build something. You don't have the time to, like, build something strong, or you can't build something strong, and you try and get your one ace with the debuffer to maybe help you steal some wins here and there. But I think, like, debuffers are not it.
Is going to hit that 20%.
Therefore, the poor people.
Or you're going to accept that sometimes, even if you hit, you're not going to be good enough. I think the debuffers have more of an issue than we do with 3 aces, because if we have 3 aces, the odds of us having at least 2 aces hit is still 85% of the time if we have 76% at 700 wit. So even with the 2 gold recoveries proccing, you know, the odds of 0 of them proccing is only 1%, because you have the 24%, which is the 1 minus 75.9%. You raise it to the 3rd power because there's 3 times that needs to hit. You only have a 1.4% chance of it happening. That may happen once out of 81 times, or
Yeah, one time out of all of them. Hopefully not your finals.
If you're me, 5.
But it could be your finals. We did have that one gold ship in Gemini Cup that was a monster that someone built that won every single race up until the finals and then lost the finals.
Times, but hey, I'm unlucky. P of ones, which means that, hey, a situation where one of them, only one of them hits and 2 of them miss, only happens when you have 1 that hits and 2 misses, right? And there's 3 combinations that it can do. You know, Uma A, Uma B, Uma C. You know, you have the 75.9% chance of that hitting and the 2 that don't hit. And that you need exactly this happening times 3 for 13.4%. So if you add those together, it's about 14.8% chance of you missing and only having, you know, and 99% of the time you have at least 1 Uma that's throwing your hat in the ring. And if your Umas are strong enough, that 1 Uma has, let's say it's a 50-50 chance.
Now, I will say this one down here is definitely the more important one, especially if you're like me and you're doing front runners. Now we do have the Kita-san spurt, which makes it a little bit better since you don't have to be in first place. But yeah, because what you actually care about, especially on front runners, is you've got to be in the front to get, or at least the front 2 to get the acceleration off. And so while you can say most of the time, you're gonna survive with all of them, or at least one of them, that's not really good because the 2 of them are going to probably be really bad positioning, or at least one of them. And so this is the better number. And to me, 85%, especially on a long, an 85% win rate, if you're really strong, is pretty solid.
So winning, you're going to win half the time there, let's say. 1 out of every 3, you win a third, 33% of the time, right? If your Umas are strong enough and just better, you still have a good chance with the singular.
Well, no, if you have good Umas, you're going to win, especially with round 1. Round 1, if you have strong Umas, you're going to win like majority of them. So you should have around that 80% win rate if things go right, unless you get the absolute worst luck, which I've seen in some of mine. But
Uma Ace. But even if you just want 2 Umas in the ring at all times, you still have an 85% chance of that happening if you go greedy on all 3 of them with 2 gold recoveries and nothing else, let's say, or just a gold recovery and a white recovery, 2 skills that need to proc, right? Another thing to think about, and I didn't think about this originally, Glittering Star has a really, really funny thing it does. When a late race recovery hits.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we were talking about Radiant Star earlier. Like, I feel like this is like your extra heal, basically. Just take this. I mean, it's a great skill. Now, I mean, because it's got a lot more built into it. This should be your second, basically. Your second gold recovery. Want to call it that.
It recalculates your stamina, so you can spurt when this
happens. round two can be harder, just depends on what you run into. But yeah, the finals is made up mostly of round 2 Umas, because I feel like what I've seen from round 2 is, I mean, it just kind of depends. It's too late when it hits. Nah, I mean, it's gamble. It's a gamble skill, but it's also got speed. I wouldn't count it on as your heal. I would just count it on it being a heal that you have, because it has won me some of the practice races where I've missed Swinging Maestro, and this timed correctly, and actually still made me be able to spurt and win. I wouldn't make it a main like heal that's necessary, but to me, it's not necessary.
The other thing that it is, this is a 0.35 recovery. Sometimes that's enough to get there with a different gold recovery as well. So in addition to gold, white, plus Glittering Star or Radiant Star, the thing you have to think about is, and this is, I guess it's technically conditional probability, but...
I mean, and that matches up with what mine is. My Kita-san has Swinging Maestro, Moxie, but I have that because I'm not having that because it's like I feel like I must have it. It's a backup there for other little things that happen, like debuffs, because I don't have as high a stamina. I was shooting for, I think, 1100, but I only got like 1050. That's why I took Moxie, not because I'm following the advice of needing like the 1 gold and 1 white. And then Radiant Star is the other one, which is a good backup, which is why my Kita-san survives most of the time. Now, she doesn't win as much because she's not as strong in the mid game as my Mihono Bourbon. But just having a couple little things here and there,
you're trying to increase your high rolls,
is by itself going to help you.
What time does Glittering Star really help you, right? Or Radiant Star, I guess, is what most people will buy. If you're on a late surger, it's a super useful skill because you need things to hit. And on your left is a Gambling XL. This is a Gambling XL. It hits every 1 out of 6 times. But when it hits, It's not only a recovery that causes you to recalculate your spurt, but it's acceleration, which means if this hits plus on your left, let's say, you have the situation in which you have a chance of winning, for sure. And then you have enough stamina at that point too. So in the situations where you're going to win.
Yeah, this is a really good skill. I mean, just in general. For it. I mean, it's like it's something that I'll be taking pretty much most of the time, I feel like. Even on the mediums, because it's not going to be my heal or a main heal, but it'd be a good backup, especially even on the mediums. Even if I can get enough stamina to survive alone, especially on the 2000 medium we'll be having, it's still going to be a solid, just in general, comfy skill to have. Unless I have like monstrous other skills and I just don't have the skill points. It's kind of what happened with my Mihono Bourbon, because I did not get it on her because she just had so much other good stuff. It's just in general a good skill. Now, I'd go specifically for the gold. I don't know if the white I would consider all that good, though.
You will spurt. If it misses, you may or may not spurt, but who cares, right? Your high roll potential is in the situation where you will also spurt, because this is both a recovery and acceleration. So as a
it is pretty
secondary
expensive.
acceleration, this is an incredible skill for those Umas that are greedy because,
Oh, yeah, in the 2000, yeah, on the 2000 one, it's just like Scorpio Cup. You're going to try and build to not even need stamina or a recovery. To me, the 2000, I'm building to not need a recovery other than like Summer Zensky. Well, now take that back, because I'm going to be building a Summer Zensky and a Christmas Ogre Cap. Christmas Ogre Cap is going to need no stamina pretty much, because she's going to be popping off with hers. And Summer Zensky needs a heal as well, so I'll probably just outright buy the gold so I can get away without needing as much stamina on her. And then I guess Mihono Bourbon has a built-in heal, so I guess I am taking heals on my mediums now that I think about it.
Oh, you need a secondary cell with on your left, right? And if this is the one you're using.
But it is nice, because then it makes it more comfy, where you can really go all in on your other stats.
Point. It makes your highs high and your lowers lower, but we don't care about whether or not the lowers lower, because if the lowers are mid, our mid rolls aren't winning, right?
Yeah, your mids are losing anyway.
To the point at which they can win the race, right? Especially on our Oshis. So, to say this, I'll say this one more time. Every single Uma creator, me, Suriru, any other one that you've seen, small, big, we all have our own separate strengths, weaknesses, and more importantly, perspectives. And this is what I've been trying to get everyone to learn throughout all my videos, because this is the most important thing that transcends everything in Umamusume, not just like this game, but in real life. Form your own opinions. This is critical thinking. I have my perspective. I mostly play late surges and end closers. I also have a somewhat math background. I haven't played Japan. I am purely a
like he says, mostly plays late surgers and end closers. And then he put his guide for them on here. Is his little image. I mean, I know he plays all of them, makes guides and everything. But
mobile player.
I like end closers too. I mean, I just don't feel like I just play meta though. That's my thing. I'm always gonna go for the meta, and right now, I really want to try. I wanted to try Tamamo Cross, but it is it can be excruciatingly painful getting those mouse marks. It's one of the things that I would say was a mistake I made when I kind of covered early on Make a New Track, was overall some of the pain points that I didn't realize until I was like really started to think about them. So yeah, that's one thing. You can't take everything anyone specifically says, especially early on before we actually get to experience any of the testing or whatnot on it.
I have my strengths and weaknesses. I have my perspective I'm taking this game from. Suriru's doing the same thing from the Japanese point of view with a wealth of information. And from a position where now they're in a point of the game where they can just grab all these skills too. So thinking back, it may be a little difficult to think that, hey, it's...
Well, I mean, the Japanese version, I don't know, like, I've been reading up on how things work in there. Like, stamina has more... stamina's not just to survive at this point now in the JP version as well.
It's really hard to get to this.
I don't think I said C was okay. I think I always said B. I think I said you could make it work potentially on some of them, but I did definitely say I would say at least B, because C can be very painful.
And that's no fault.
But maybe I know right? A lot of people
all have
said
our different
C.
perspectives. So think about it. Take his perspective. Take my perspective. Take every single
Pretty sure you said B is pushing it. I can't remember. I do know I'd said, I mean, C could potentially work, but I wouldn't want to do it.
You have watched, and your answer
yeah,
for
B is
your
already
risk tolerance,
painful.
for the way that you want to play this game, for the characters that you want to play, is somewhere that encapsulates all the information that you've received. Okay? That's the important thing. And this happens in every phase of life. Like, you have a bunch of wealth of...
I think the one area where maybe it can work, and we're going to see if I build some Umamusume, I might just deal with long C. But long C is going to be different to me in the extent that the long races are later. And you can stockpile that speed to make up the difference there. Versus Miles, where you get immediately crushed by them. But Miles definitely...
information coming in at all points of your life, you know, in your job, in your school, in your college. It's just what you use with that information, because that...
And I know long C can work because in Unity Cup, or even URA, my Maru Zensky would win the Rima Keenan, which was a required race, quite often. So the only difference then would ultimately be, now you're going to try and get her, well, you're going to go the triple Tierra route. To me, I'd go triple Tierra, so you only have to deal with the Rima Keenan and the Tenno Show Spring. You won't have to deal with the Kika Show in the triple Tierra route.
Is what's important, is that you need to form your reality. Again, this isn't a call-out video. Sariro is correct. It's completely mathematically correct that you need that much stuff. Right?
C is for cortisol.
Just, I don't find it realistic that the average player that's in my situation can get 100% like safe. Like, we need a little bit of risk to fight against these better Umas that have more skills than us, because we don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury of being able to get everything we need in every single video unless we get lucky and hit. And that happens. And that's perfectly fine. If you have 2 gold recoveries, all your skills, you think that you have a great Uma that's going to be able to compete, and then you have the option of increasing your consistency at that point.
You just say C is for clocks. You won't have any if you use C.
For it, take it. I'm just here looking at my Umas. I know everyone's in the situation where we have that Uma that's like just borderline stamina, but it's so good. Like, it's our only long-ass Uma Stan Uma. And the only thing that's wrong with it, is, hey, we're missing 100 stamina. We're missing 50 stamina. What does that affect us? It adds 20, it removes 20% consistency. What's that risk level? Please be civil. Do not go anywhere. Like I said, if I see anything about this, I'm going to at least shut it down the best that I can. Okay? Obviously.
Yeah, there's no reason to... I don't think anybody's given like terrible advice. I mean, nobody should be attacking anybody. I was joking at the beginning when I was saying, oh, we're going to get some drama now. No. I think all of us, I don't think I've seen any content creator attack anyone. Like, I will say that is the kind of the crazy thing. I mean, we're pretty much at the end of the video here. Like, I see so much drama in like every other gacha game I play amongst content creators, especially the big ones. But I have not seen that with, and maybe I could be just ignorant to something, but I have not seen anything like that with Umamusume, which is actually kind of crazy. When I think about like every other gacha having something. Yeah, that was Light Burbs there. I mean, go ahead and make sure to give him a like. He does a lot of videos as well. He does a lot of the math on a lot of things that he kind of covers it. Stuff that I don't have the time to do. But yeah. That's going to be pretty much it for this reaction. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.